Tanse, and welcome back to AunTea Time. Today's guest is someone who's been in my life for years, my soul sister, my softball sister, and someone who feels like family, Carlie Breeze Standingready. She's newly engaged powerhouse, finishing her second degree in social work after earning her first in sociology, and she's an incredible Indigenous mother. We've been through a lot growing up, playing in elite sports where we've often felt we're the only Native girls, and navigating life's ups and downs. Carlie is someone who knows resilience, humor, and healing. Today we're talking about social work, motherhood, and what it means to be an Indigenous woman finding our path in a world that hasn't always made it easy. We are live, and today we have Carlie Breeze Standingready from the White Bear First Nation as our second guest of AunTea Time. Say hello, Carlie.
Hello.
Okay, did you see that there's rumors on Facebook that Ernest Munoz died?
I saw that.
But I heard he didn't. I see family are posting that he's still breathing, so.
Yeah, and then I seen that he has a leg infection.
Yeah.
Pray for Ernest Munoz.
Yeah, prayers going out to Mushram. He's actually my relative on my husband's side. Everyone's my relative.
Man, I didn't know Chester Knight ran Bannock Bistro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The guy who sings Love Me Strong?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he does sing it. Yeah.
So yeah, I know I seen the Bannock Bistro vehicle drive by the other day and it said Chester's Knight's Bannock Bistro.
Shit, he should make a song after his business. The Bannock Bistro. The Bannock Bistro Blues. Okay, so I think we'll jump into it. I kind of just wanted to explain a little bit about me and Breeze. We actually didn't know this. We're related. Mm-hmm. Wicked way far back, chaos long ago. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know until my late cook, Sharon Bear, was telling us that on my Musham side, my Musham Marlo Kenny, his dad was Harvey Kenny. And his mom was the daughter of Weiwei Capo. Mm-hmm. And you're a descendant of Weiwei Capo. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, well, Standingready literally translates to Weiwei Capo or whatever.
So how did you guys end up on White Bear?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I did, but
yeah.
I just always kind of knew because even like on like the lake resort side of White Bear, there's like streets, like there's like every last name like Wapimasqua, like White Bear, and then Kikakwe, a street, and then there's like Weiwei Capo Road or whatever. So yeah. I always kind of knew, and I wish I knew more, but
yeah. No, I'm a nerd though. Like anything to learn about any res and know the tea. I'm like research. I literally read 200 pages of history and court cases on my res just for the fun of it.
Like, that's how you know you don't have like ADHD or ADD, because you can sit there and have the attention span.
I thought you were gonna say that's how you know you don't have a life.
That too.
Yeah, I'm just a nerd. I love it. So I'll figure out White Bear how you guys ended up there.
I know for sure that I'm a direct descendant of Chief White Bear.
Yeah,
through my dad's grandma.
Yeah, so, and then you're a descendant of Weiwei Capo on your dad's side, too.
Somehow, yeah.
Yes, because, and actually, we have a lot of relatives on White Bear, too, as well, from my side of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. My brother was trying to have a crush on you when you were young.
Your mom was trying to set us up.
I know, and meanwhile, we're all cousins.
Yeah. Hannah's good for Robert, though, no hate.
Yeah,
I'm not jealous. And then I got knocked up, and then she said, your mom literally said when we went to the Sundance that her dreams were crushed.
Yeah. You broke my mom's heart. Meanwhile, cousins. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Okay, so I guess a little icebreaker. We're gonna do a Res Girl Survival Guide, and I'm just gonna ask you questions.
Man, I couldn't stop laughing at you and Shay's. Holy shit.
I know, she did so good. I thought Shay was gonna be shy, and she did awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay, so ours are a little bit raunchier because Shay's like humble, and we're not humble.
We're full of shit.
Okay, this is funny because I know this has all happened before. You're at a bar and some guy who's probably your cousin tries to hit on you. Do you shut it down or do you ghost him later?
I shut it down.
Have you ever dated your cousin?
No, I was always told don't date in your same friggin' treaty.
If you had one cousin you could date, which I'm just kidding. No, don't answer that.
Okay, brother.
That's funny. Okay. No, these are funny because you're like so freaking, you'll just tell people straight, and I love that. So the next one is you catch your cousin's man at the gas station flirting with someone else. Do you tell her or do you mind your res business?
I go up and say, what the fuck are you doing?
You totally would.
Ugly.
Go slam him across the car.
And then go tell him.
Okay, I don't know why it says auntie. ChatGPT wrote these, by the way.
Man, AI is killing the environment.
I know. Shit. I'm going to edit that out because don't use ChatGPT.
Cancel her.
Yeah, it's bad for the environment. Shit. Okay. You're at a house party and someone's auntie starts grinding on you when slow songs come on. Do you go with it or do you slip away before it gets too res?
Man, do you remember we were divas?
No, but I heard what happened.
I only know because I don't know. I can't remember. Actually, you know what? I thought there was a girl grinding on both of us that wouldn't leave us alone.
Well, I know there was a girl that wouldn't leave us alone, and you kind of told her to get lost.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do too.
Yeah,
I would say something pretty rank probably, but
yeah, but that's the R-rated version.
Yeah. Bugger off.
Okay, this is like Sparky. You roll up to a gathering, someone's res dog hops in the car, and they're coming with you. Do you take them for a ride or you kick them out?
Take them for a ride and take a picture, post it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Dog is this?
That happened today. Shay's her dad's dog got picked up by someone, and they're like, "Whose dog is this?" And I was gonna comment, "That's Bubba," but they already figured it out and everything. And all of a sudden, they comment, "Peacekeepers are taking him home."
No, but my dad called me that one day or texted me, and he was like, Crims's dog Kenai, that ugly little pug.
Yeah.
He's like, text me, Kenai got arrested by the RCMP. We're like, what? And like, I guess he was like on the main highway there. Remember when I turned off to my house?
Yeah.
My dad's down like the opposite end.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the road, I guess, and they pulled over, fucking picked him up, and the cops are banging on my dad's door. He's like, what the hell, do I have warrants? No, it's just my sister's dumb dog.
Oh my god. What if he did though?
That would...
And then get thrown in over your sister's dog.
Asking for prayers on Facebook?
Yeah. A GoFundMe for the lawyer fees.
It's just his brother is just a freaking lawyer.
Yeah, hey.
He would still ask for fees.
Yeah, for real. Make him pay double.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the theme for this episode, I want to talk about your social work. I want to talk about us. And I just want to talk about you as an Indigenous mother because the way I like how you don't sugarcoat motherhood. Mm-hmm. You're so real about it. But like you could tell like the way you are is you love being a mother. Like you'll do anything for that girl. And even if that means blowing me off. Just kidding.
All the time.
All the time. No, but... I just wanted to kind of like talk, and this is like a conversation, so feel free to like to not stick to like just go with your heart. Yeah, go with your heart.
She's telling me what to say.
Yeah. But if you say the wrong thing, I'm editing it out. So I guess I'll do my first question, start it off. So what inspired you to pursue social work after studying sociology?
Oh, geez. I guess, well, I always knew that I wanted to, like, work in community or, like, support, like, do advocacy work, but I didn't know exactly, like, how to, like, name it at the time, like, going into university at, like, 17, 18 years old. And then I figured when I started journey with sociology, it wasn't even going to be sociology. I was going to be a teacher. And then I realized I didn't want to do teaching, and then realized I was like, okay, I have to major in something that I have the most credits in, so I graduate on time. And so I picked sociology because I was like, this is going to be my major. That's what I have the most credits in. Pick sociology, and like it's basically like the study of people and society and systems and things like that. So it's pretty cool.
And it's not an easy degree. Mm-mm. All my sociology classes, like they're pretty, like they're not cut and dry. Like there's a lot of work that goes into sociology.
Yeah, it's basically like my one prof that I had for addictions of sociology or sociology of addictions, and she was like, you literally have to think about how you're going to change the world every single day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what it was like researching all that stuff. Anyways, so I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like this is kind of the avenue I want to go down. But then I started working at Saskatoon Tribal Council in the Justice Department in the Youth Reintegration Program. And I really loved it. It was like my dream job. It was just working with Indigenous kids coming out of like juvenile detention centers. So like a lot of times it's kids on paper that look like they're the worst of the worst, but they're really not. And I realized with just my arts degree, I was running into a lot of barriers. And just because I didn't have the BSW or BISW behind my freaking name, right? Yeah. So I was like...
Which is crazy because, like, your experience alone as an Indigenous person gives you enough experience to deal with those kind of people and with a degree. But, you know, like, just the world we deal with, you need to have those letters behind your name to have any sort of credibility.
Yeah. And, like, just even right down to just housing referrals or, like, making counseling referrals and stuff like that for these kids. It was just like, oh, my God, I need more education. So I found out through... my sister-in-law, Vanessa Jack, Georgie's oldest sister, that she went to FNU and she had always had good things to say about it. And a lot of my other in-laws went there too. So
yeah, I went there too.
Yeah, and you.
Yeah.
And but like specifically like the social work program. And so I was like, well, I'm going to check it out. Not really thinking anything of it. And I ended up getting in to the pre-qualifying program and now I'm here.
Yeah, and I will say, like, First Nations University, if you want to learn about Indigenous people and the histories, and by the people who have lived and experienced it, that's the best place to go, and their instructors are amazing. So, what is one thing you learned about yourself pursuing this career path?
One thing I've learned about myself, I feel like I almost had like an identity crisis at some point, especially like last year. It was kind of like you have to unlearn so much of yourself, even though like, yeah, I am Indigenous, I am this, and I'm a mother and all these things, but it's like, okay, I still have to unlearn a lot of bias. I still have to unlearn a lot of like toxic mentality that I might have. Like, for example, just because I have a degree doesn't mean I'm educated, you know, like just because you have a degree does not make you
better
than anyone, right? Like, yes. And I feel like a lot of young people will have that big ego after they graduate, and you'll learn really quickly that you don't know
once
shit.
You get into the real world, you don't know shit.
Yeah, so...
And it's that life experience that really is like the biggest education. Go ahead. No, and I always say that too. Like, degrees are degrees, but as Indigenous people, our curriculum is lifelong learning, and if you could take advantage of both, like that will make you so powerful. But that does happen with our young people is they think it's a weapon, and it's more so a tool to help. It's not a weapon to make people feel less than.
Yeah, or like you always hear like the old ones always say education is our new buffalo. Yeah. And I feel like that really helps us come to like that two-eyed seeing where it's like, yeah, I do have the Western education side of things, but I also have the lived experience, whether that's, you know, you grew up in a home filled with addictions, or you grew up in foster care, or you grew up within your culture and you know your language, you know, it's like having that is so powerful. And like that's kind of like what I'm noticing too is like, yeah, I'm educated, but I'm also have all this experience too that like can come together and change the world.
No, exactly. And honestly, like growing up on the reserve like we did, it's such a unique experience that only a certain demographic have. Like not even all Indigenous people have that opportunity, because a lot of our people are urban as well and never even touched their homeland. So it's a good experience, but it's also like it comes with a lot of like negatives as well, and you have to take it all in. And that's the shitty part about it.
And like I don't like how like we always feel so pitted against each other, whether you grew up on the res or in the city, and it's like there's pros and cons to both, right? Like no one's better than the other. Like it's all a matter of like coming together and like realizing, okay, we're brothers and sisters in this freaking journey. Like let's support each other, not bring each other down based on where we lived.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. And I have to remind my husband about that too, because my people are my people, right? And even like if they're not a band member, like if I'm out there in university and I see another Indigenous person, I'm like, yes. I'm like, thank God, because we just have this shared experience, and it's just so unique. And we got to get past the mindset of where there's these barriers of division between us when we're all, at the end of the day, we're all Indigenous people and we're all treaty people. Mm-hmm. And we're all here wanting to do better for our community. Yeah. So, like, let's do it, you know?
That is exactly what the freaking colonizers want.
No, seriously. They want us to, like, divide each other through different things. And funding is, like, the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. Because on reserve, people get mad because they don't, for some funding mechanisms, they don't get urban numbers. Mm-hmm. So it's just on reserve. So then, you know, then that creates a barrier. And then actually that creates discrimination because they're like, well, if we don't get funding for them, like, why should we help them? It's just like, because that's your people.
Yeah, like, we're still, like, we have different struggles than on reserve, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just like a, what is that word? Like it's not an easy topic to cover because, like, everybody has their own opinions, right? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just if you go into a mindset of you just don't divide, you know? Yeah. Okay. How do you balance being a social worker and an Indigenous woman, and how does culture play a role with the people you work with?
Well, right now, I'm not a social worker yet.
Yeah.
Just disclaimer.
Yeah.
I'm a student, but I'm in
soon.
my last practicum, and I'll be graduated this summer.
It's also, though, that your guys' internship is, like, on the ground working. Yeah. Like, you guys are doing real work. Like, I'm in law school, and I'm not going to be in a law firm until I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's raw, it's real, it's intense. It's, like, I feel like I won the lottery with my placement. And I know my supervisor's going to watch this because she told me. So, Stephanie, you rock.
Yeah.
But no, so right now, how do I balance for being a social worker and Indigenous woman? I think a lot of it has to do with your emotions. You cannot let your emotions get the best of you, especially right now, currently I'm in the healthcare system. Yeah. Which is obviously historically really oppressive against Indigenous people, and there are some people who are there that are in it with the heart and the soul and like they're meant to be there and meant to work there. Others not so much, and they kind of, like, their ignorance really shows, and it's not against, like, anything of their own. They just aren't knowledgeable in things like that, or just so quick to assume, you know, rather than, like, actually learn. And so there's a lot of comments that I've heard from specific leaderships and, like, heads of departments and things like that really angered me. Yeah. Where I was like, that's the toughest part, is you can't be labeled, like, for me, it's like, fuck, I don't want to be labeled the angry Indian. Yeah. You know? Like, or, like, emotional or too attached and things like that. And there's nothing wrong, but there is limits. Yeah. So trying to remain professional
at all times,
and realizing that your words can really escalate a situation to a point where it's like, I'm still a practicum student, like, I can get my butt kicked out of there.
No, seriously. And that's like, you, as when they teach you in these, like, educations where you're going into a specific career, they teach you reputation is number one. And and it's hard with this podcast because I want to talk about issues like in Indigenous topics. But they say, like, we're not supposed to be too political, but we don't have the privilege to not be political because we see the impacts every day. So I think it's fair to say, this is an opinion, I'm pretty sure it's fact by this point, that the healthcare system in Canada is racist, and there are gaps for Indigenous people. I mean, like, how many human rights tribunals have, like, cases have gone through considering the healthcare? Exactly. Or, like, in Winnipeg, when that guy got his wrong leg chopped off, you know, like, there's severe gaps in the healthcare system.
Yeah, and it's like, and working in the healthcare system right now with children and youth, I also see their side of things, in a sense of, like, the doctors that are there and in it with their full heart and soul. They are like, there's only so much we can do, because unless, literally, you will hear them say, unless there is a government change in the province, nothing about our healthcare system right now is going to change. And it's just a matter, that's just facts. And like, seeing how burnt out the nurses are, how burnt out the doctors are, and all these care aides and youth care workers that are there, it's like, you really see that side. And like, it's not just social work, like, it's it's so blatant, and like the ones that are in it, you really feel for them, and the ones that are part of the oppressive system, it's like you're facing,
it's systematic for sure, like but with that, like it's not to say that people don't come in there with their own biases and negative biases on Indigenous people, and that's why it's important to have people like you in that space, because you know, when we see someone on the street, it's so quick to label them as a homeless junkie and whatever. But like, we know through our experience and who our relatives are that those people have a story.
And like, that's like, I don't know who wrote it on Facebook, but I saw that like, those ones that are suffering from houselessness and substance use issues and stuff like that, they are knowledge keepers. They just have like harder, like they have a harder story, you know, like you said. And working there and like seeing how there is a lack of culture, only in a sense of like with the mental health side, there's a lot of stigma to the mental health field and stuff like that. So, and it's really tough when like the hospital here only has 2 elders for the entire hospital, right? So, and that includes the RUH in the children's hospital. So it's kind of hard to like get elders there. Culture does play a big part in a sense of like the kids can smudge if they want, and they get anybody, not just Indigenous kids, like any of them. And there's like, just alone like knowing like I'm one of the only Indigenous people on the unit, like, and having a large Indigenous population on the unit that I'm on it's like there's just this like one youth that's there and like just lights up when he sees me, and I'm like, that's all that matters. Like, I could have a shit day, and then like just knowing that like your presence is like what makes somebody else's day that you're working with is just like,
well, it's so nice to see our own people. Like, it really is. And also, like, being the only Indigenous person in a space, like, that often comes with more responsibility on you that people don't understand, because they want to come to you if they have a question or like how to deal with the situation, or if they just want to learn. And you know, I think for the most part, like, it depends on the person if they're willing to teach, but sometimes people are just done with teaching.
Or like, I remember I even had to like speak up once in this trauma-informed care meeting. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I could block that out. Just in a meeting in general. And there was like healthcare professionals around, like, and there's different kinds of people from all around the mental health hospital there. And they were talking about like Indigenous social work as a whole, and like, what can we do? Like, why isn't there more Indigenous social workers? And they were asking like valid questions, like nothing out of the ordinary. And there's somebody at the table who was kind of like up there, and they Googled like spirituality, culture, and Indigenous or something, just keywords they put into this like job search bar that SHA has. And what came up was recreational therapist or recreational something. And it was like, one in the job description was like holistic, spiritual, and Indigenous care or something. And then I was like, it didn't sit right with me. So I was like, calling Indigenous spiritual care recreational, I think was like highly offensive. And like, language is trauma-informed care. So right there.
And it's also too, like, you can't just read about it, you gotta be about it. Like, you gotta live it. And that's why it's like, again, it's important for us to be in these spaces and have that voice. And also, you know, social work is like it came from Europe, like British, like the first social worker house came from like Great Britain, and then when it came over they brought it here. So this is fairly like new to like Indigenous people, this idea of social work, but it's because we traditionally we didn't need social workers, right? We were community based, and the supports were always there. And I think that's a lot of things that people don't realize. Like, traditionally we didn't have jails, we didn't have police, because people knew their roles and who they were, and we were strong in community. And I think maybe that's what people wonder, like, what do we need to do to fill these gaps? And I think it always goes back to community. You know, people need to know a sense of belonging and a security net. So what is one thing that social worker system gets wrong about Indigenous families and communities?
Ooh, that's a big question. I remember looking at this question and I was like, oh, that's kind of a big question. Well, I can only talk about like what I've seen and what I have done and experienced. is that, you know, like, I think what main thing that I see right now is that, you know, elders and knowledge keepers have just as much of valuable knowledge and education as somebody who has a degree, a PhD, their master's, and their doctorate or whatever, like, of medicine, you know, like, I think that's really overlooked, and sometimes they can get confused, or, like, not confused, but just, like, don't want to understand, like, that ignorance, like I say, and how valuable it is just to have somebody like that around. You know, like, it's just as valuable. Like, we see them as high as a doctor in the medical field, right? Like,
for sure.
So
and like, I don't want to give away any secrets, but like, our Indigenous healthcare, it's real and it's out there, and we've done some amazing things within our culture. I have a story of when I was in Montreal, and we were with one of the counselors from James Smith going to the Oka, where the Oka crisis happened. It was the anniversary, and I had wicked anxiety, and I don't know why, and I was like rolling down the window, and I was just trying to get fresh air, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, and I had to tell the car like what I was doing because my head was out the window, and I was like, I have anxiety. And this counselor, he's like, here, my girl, and he pulls out wheat, it's like rat root or bear root, and he's like, chew it up and put it under your tongue, and he's like, it will start burning. And sure enough, it did, and it just cured my anxiety in that moment. And you know, my mom gave him tobacco for that, and it was just amazing, because I seen on TikTok a little later from someone who struggled with anxiety. They said a good way to like fix anxiety instantly is you suck on a sour candy, because it gets all your senses, and that helps. And I just thought, like, man, he knew that in that moment that I just needed my senses to be grounded. And it worked. And I just thought, like, man, this is so, like, effective, rather than I've at that point, I've never taken any medication for anxiety. I just handled it. But I couldn't handle it that day.
I know you couldn't, man. That was
right. No. So I was like, man, but it shows, like, we do have medicines out there that help, and to have more knowledge about that, like, we could really attack these issues in a holistic way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, you know, not to say that they bash or, like, say anything bad. Like, at least what I've encountered, I haven't heard anything. It was just, like, then it's just a lack of, right? Yeah. Like, it's just, like, our old people are dying, and, like, there is, in the urban settings, like, if they are a well-known knowledge keeper or elder, they are booked solid, which is amazing.
Booked and busy.
But, like, it's really hard to get someone consistently, like, especially with children and adolescents. Like, it's so hard.
So you've probably seen, like, a lot of things in your job and, like, in the work you choose and everything. So how do you maintain to have empathy for everyone that comes through, whether they're an ignorant, you know, non-Indigenous person, or someone who consistently, like, refuses help? Like, how do you just, like, remain empathetic?
I can't say that I'm not desensitized to a lot of things, because I am. That's just the reality of working in, like, any human services field. You will get desensitized after seeing so many things. That's not to say that they don't stick with you, but I think for me personally, it's just, like, going back to being, like where I am right now. It's like, this parent or these parents, this caregiver is very traumatized because their child is admitted in a mental health facility. So I have to remember to remain empathetic. I have to remember that they're human. I'm a parent myself, so I personally, one of my biggest fears is my child's mental health in the future, right? No matter what age. It's such a big fear, and them losing that battle with their mental health, I can't imagine that kind of pain. So and I think also just, like, my lived experience, in a sense of, like, I've lost a lot of friends to mental health. I've lost them to addictions, like, and so just remembering, like, how I felt in those moments and, like, what I needed, I try to give that to the parents. I try to give that to the kids that I work with, because I remember feeling so alone, and, like, you know, there's sometimes you just can't turn to like your parents. You can't turn to your counselor. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, okay, you like, do you want to talk about it? No? Okay, cool. I'm here. I'm gonna sit and color, like, you know, like things like that. Like whenever you're ready, like I'm here.
Yeah.
And so sometimes just remembering that they're human, I'm human. I remember feeling like this.
Yeah.
So don't forget, like, to just be kind.
Yeah.
And just, you know.
That's such an important point, too, is just, like, to remember that we're all human in this. Mm-hmm. And, like, no one wants mental health issues. Mm-hmm. It's not something people strive for, but it's a reality in some cases, and especially kids. And that's just a reflection on society and how these, like, society has failed them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, because a lot of mental health, like, it can manifest into something greater from like trauma or even little things of not getting your ADHD taken care of. Like that can manifest into something even bigger.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
Or like just your parents not validating you. Right?
Yeah.
Or whoever.
Or acknowledging you or neglect as well. And yeah.
There's a lot of things. And like that's why I don't like when people say like you'll hear like people either love working with kids or they can't fucking stand it. Mm-hmm. I love it, but it's just a matter of like just being nice, kind.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know.
And it's, you know, it's easy. And this is where, like, kind of seeing the rawness of people in society, what you get when there's Indigenous people. Like, it's easy to be kind when things are always amazing in your life and you, like, everything's awesome, flowers and daisy. Like, and it's easy to be kind when things are like that. But to be kind when things are not going well or, like, things are awful and you see the real rawness of how people could be, but you choose to remain like intact with those values of being kind, like that's like shows like real character, because it's easy to, when you're having a good day, it's easy to be nice, but like what happens when you're having a shit day? Or like, you know, you just lost a family member and you have to go into your practicum, like and you know, and it's so easy to take out that like heartache on people,
blame everything around you, you know, and like like it's easy to just lose your temper on someone. Like I'm really bad for it sometimes when I'm at home with my partner or like with my kid. Like it's so easy to like have had such a tough day, which is a lot. Like it's not easy. Like there's some days that are pretty chill, other days you're like freak, I have to process this or it's gonna stick with me. So like there, and like those really tough days I do have like a shorter temper because you can push it down for hours.
For me too, the way I think about it when things are going terrible and just awful things are happening, it just, for some reason, and I'm wired like this, is like it just makes me more grateful for the better days. And it just like, okay, these days are showing me of like how great my life actually is, because not every day is like this and there are better days, and I just like get grounded in that gratitude, and that's what kind of helps me just remain like, because things get shitty. And you know, when my mom made a post on Facebook when that tragedy happened. I don't think I said that right. Well, when that happened in CTK, and that was our relative, and she made a point is like, when our people hurt, we all hurt. And when there's a tragedy going up in northern Saskatchewan, we feel it in southern Saskatchewan, vice versa, because we're all connected. Indian country is so small. Like we're all connected in so many ways, and so it's hard not to let like things that are happening, not specifically in your family or community, it could be happening in another family, not impact you, because, you know, we love our people, and that's the price you kind of pay when you have connections everywhere. It's just like, it leaves a space for more sorrow, but you can't let that dwell on your emotions too much, because it's just the reality of life. And so you mentioned Georgie. I think we should tell the viewers that you're getting married. So how's that going?
It's going really good, actually. We're not till October this year. So
did you ever see yourself getting married?
I think it's I'm so stereotypical in that sense. I always wanted to get married, like to like a partner.
Did you think there would be from Thunderchild?
No, I can't say that. I don't know. I just was like, I always want to get married. I always want to have a white picket fence. I always want to have a big yard on the res and have all these res dogs and whatever, and all these Indian babies running around. But I don't know. Like the way we met, it was just so random, and so like as things like progressed over the years, I never had any expectations on it. And then, like we had a kid together before we got engaged. So we were in it long term, regardless if we were together or not.
She was the engagement ring.
And I feel like we always say like and this is very rare. Not everybody has this experience, but like we had kids when we were really young. Like I was 21 when I had her. Mm-hmm. And so like Preston like really like saved our relationship in the sense of like not everybody can say that, right, as young parents, but I feel like she gave us like more of a purpose to like work on our issues and like grow together and
so obviously you're an amazing mom. How has motherhood shaped how you view the world, especially as an Indigenous woman? Because you have a little woman and you have to heal everything so you don't pass it on to her.
It's hard. Like parenthood is hard. Being a young parent is hard, and it's so there's nothing wrong with being a young parent or teen parents or anything like that, but it's just really hard. And like, I wish it was more talked about, because it is so normalized to have kids so young. But I know I also wish that I did have more of like, I feel like that's where residential school trauma comes in, and like where we don't have like the sex talks. We don't have like healthy relationship talks, because it's just something that you don't talk about. It's taboo, right? Yeah. We've had this conversation many times, but so I think I'm getting off topic here.
No, that's good. Those are good points, especially the sex talks. Like no one talks about sex, and our relationship with sex have been heavily damaged because of residential school. A lot of people that went were molested and like sexually abused, and that's just reality, and it fucked up our relationship with sex. And sex is a healthy thing.
And like so many like babies having babies, you know, and once like I believe you're given a kid when you're ready for it, right, from the creator or whatever you want to believe in. But I think for me, I was in a better position because I was going to have my degree. I was going to, mind you, it was COVID, so nobody knew what was going to happen at the time that I found out. Like, the world was on fire.
Yeah, I remember.
Pretty much. Frick. And so, I was thinking, like, super naive, like, oh, I'm just going to go back to work. I'm just going to, like, like, once baby turns, you're not forgiven. No, like, baby's going to happen. Like, I'm going to have baby, I'm going to move on, I'm going to work, and Georgie's going to go to work, we're going to have daycare. Like, thinking it's so easy.
Everything's going to be perfect, and
that was so not it. Oh my God.
You guys moved back to the res during COVID. But it's like, what could you do? You'd be paying rent in the city just to do fuck all. Well, because it was fuck all.
Yes, exactly. And where I'm like, my school got shut down. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I have no family here. I'm newly pregnant. I don't know what to do. And so so just that in general, like, you grow up really fast and you don't want to. Like, I obviously see you and Shay and all of our friends that don't have kids, like River too, like living their best lives. You guys get to travel. You guys get to do all these things. Experience all these concerts, all these new cities and islands and shit like that. And like I have to like put that on the back burner because I have another like responsibility, you know, like where it's like $3,000 to go to Mexico together, me and Georgie. It's like, sounds awesome, but that's also like dance and hockey fees. Like,
that's true.
So it's like having to have that battle. But so back to that is like growing up really quickly. Also, like, that motherly instinct that you have, like, it didn't kick in for me right away, but it did, like, probably, like, 6 months in. Like, seeing the world so differently all of a sudden. It's like, I can't explain it. But I think other moms would, like, understand what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like, your kids give you, like, a whole new motivation.
Well, going back to the sex talk, just wanting to talk about sex. No, because when we talk about sexual health and like the conversation of pregnancy, but also postpartum comes into that conversation because we don't talk about it. Like, I'm sure you didn't know what exactly postpartum was to the extent, and didn't realize like it was normal, but it's also not normal for your body to feel like that. Yeah, because I remember your postpartum was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. It was like I didn't have postpartum depression. I had a little bit of anxiety. And I had a lot of rage. And I think it is like a lot to do with my own mental health issues. Like,
and then you're going through the pandemic where everyone was dealing with mental health. Yeah.
And living on the reserve. And a lot of reserves got shut down.
Yeah.
No visitors in or out. Like, except you.
Yeah, except me. I snuck on White Bear.
She busted through the security barrier.
I was like leaving and he's like, I don't think you're allowed in there. And I was like, okay, I just won't come back, and drove away.
Holy shit, that was so funny. You just like drove off. But no, so that was rank. Like I've like postpartum, like you see it now more so on like TikTok and like Facebook and social media and stuff now. People are talking about it. But yeah, postpartum fucking sucked. That's like a huge reason why I like my daughter's is 4 years old now, and that's why I haven't had another kid. I'm not scared of pregnancy. I'm not scared of birth. I'm not scared of labor. I'm scared of postpartum. Like, that scared me straight. And there's some women who just have a beautiful postpartum experience. No problems whatsoever. They love breastfeeding. They will do it for 5 years. Not me, man. I don't know what it was, but it was like really triggering becoming a mom.
Yeah.
Like a lot of your trauma does come up when you become a parent, and you don't realize like how much
how much healing you need to do.
Yeah. That's like another thing is like heal before you become a parent, because being a parent and trying to heal at the same time, not saying it's impossible, it's just really hard.
Yeah. And there's obviously like, because we are like that new generation and raising the next generation, it's like there's a responsibility on us to like heal that intergenerational trauma. But and this sounds negative, and I don't want it to sound negative, but we're not going to fix everything in this one generation, and things are going to get passed on. But we got to like ensure that we set good foundation for our kids. Yeah. So well, what do you do? How do you like, well, especially it must be tough because Preston's in the city, but how do you connect her to your culture, our culture?
I think this is where her grandma, like Georgie's mom, comes into play. She knows a lot about like the Cree culture, even though like I'm Soto or Anishinaabe. She doesn't like, she speaks Cree fluently and understands it.
That's deadly.
So it's pretty cool. She doesn't do it all the time, but like, say if Preston is sick with like the flu, and she will just freaking all of a sudden just like mix up all these medicines, these traditional medicines, and like boil it and then like put it in a jar and give it to us. And like Preston's like so much better like the next day, like little things like that. Obviously smudging, prayer. She knows who the creator is. She knows what heaven is. She knows what it means to go to heaven. So, like, just trying, like, it's hard when they're 4.
Yeah.
And, like you said, in an urban setting, it's kind of tough. Like, the only actual ceremony that she's, like, seen is probably the Sundance when we took her.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot we took her. But that's good. They need to be there.
Yeah, like, getting to stand there. And, like, kids are already such, like, pure energy, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I remember seeing this on Facebook saying, like, how kids weren't like shouldn't be at ceremony and everything like that, but I was actually reading through documents and archives of someone who went to one of my great Musham's Kanewashkam Sundance that was taken from our family and from the Indian agent. And he was kind of like just documenting like what was going on, and there were kids there, they were present, they were, so like kids have always been a part of like our circles, and they need to be, right? That's how you teach, they need to learn. So I forgot we took Preston to the Sundance, but I think that's important too, just showing them who their people are, because I lived in the urban setting my first couple of years, and my dad would take me to First Nations University. I would see my Miss there, and I always knew who I was, and I remember learning Soto on the computer, like just those things you can do, right? And like hearing their language, and that's really cool that your mother-in-law like knows her stuff, and of course they're from Thunderchild, like they're like
they're very old school, they're very traditional, like a lot of Georgie's aunties, so like Preston's Cookums are old ways, like very old ways. So, and I respect that. Like, I've met a few of them, and I remember I was like, Preston was like 8 weeks old. We went and visited, and all his aunties were there, or a good most, like 3 or 4 of them. And they were like, don't do this with the baby. Make sure you do this with the baby. Make sure she's in her moss bag. Like, and make sure she's on her cradle board. Like, all these things. And it was getting like a little bit annoying. Yeah. But like, you don't want to say that to these elders, these cookums, because they're like, at the same time, they are right. Like,
and they probably have like 40 kids divided by 3 of them.
Yeah. So it was like, it's cool to see that. And like, not to like, even my own parents, like my dad, he knows like the land a little bit, and he knows how to like trap and fish and all this stuff. And then my mom too. My mom actually has like a lot of like traditional knowledge too, and with my stepdad too. My stepdad is Sioux, and just kidding. He's gonna be like, fuck.
Just kidding, Kevin.
No, and like I'm super lucky because I have 2 sets of parents practically. So
yeah. That's awesome. Like, actually, when you break it down like that, like, man, she has so many resources, and her grandparents are young.
Yeah.
She's gonna grow up with them, and she's gonna know, and you know, she's gonna say, remember when you would drop me off at Cookums for the weekend? Yeah. And she would speak Cree. Like, those are things she's gonna remember, and especially if you show her, implement the importance of knowing who she is, she's gonna remember all that.
Yeah. And even like my stepmom, like my dad's wife, she's like a really good homemaker. She's a really good cook. Like, she's really like, so there's like little aspects from each and every grandparent and like auntie and uncle that like your kid will learn from, and you have to take it piece by piece. And like, nobody's perfect, but like, that's the beauty of like showing your kid like there's all these different walks of life, like in your own family. Like, so,
yeah. And it's also, like, you could love someone and they're not perfect, and it teaches you how to, like, love people regardless. And it's also going to teach them boundaries in the future, you know, like how much space you let someone if they're not. See, these are the things that, like, this is a privilege, or also it's not a privilege, as, like, we got to learn all these, like, freaking things within our own families. Like, yeah, you can love someone, but then boundaries. And then that's something you're going to have to teach our kids.
Yeah. It is, and that's where the triggers come out.
Yeah.
Like, how you have to unlearn like the things you don't like, or like that traumatized you.
I remember too when you were telling us about motherhood is we were taught everything that we knew everything we weren't supposed to know. We knew what everything was wrong, but the hard thing is, because of residential school, we didn't know what to do. Like, we knew that these ways are bad because they're from residential school, intergenerational trauma, but there was no class or no one to really tell us like what to do.
There's no like good example to
because we didn't get that because our parents are residential school survivors, and they were just trying to survive raising us. And you know, although we're here and I feel like we're thriving, there's like a lot of things we missed out on. But that was also the price we paid for being Indigenous, right? Like, having to be a part of our communities and with our people, we had to pay the price of like being raised by residential school survivors.
And even that, it's like sometimes our parents would take off for hours on end and we'd be left at home alone. Like,
Mom, I know you left us so hard. I know
I had no business babysitting at 9 years old.
And dads, why did you go to jail?
For real. No reason my memories are going to
for real.
Correctional.
For real, man. Jeez,
I love you guys.
I love you. You're doing awesome. You're so good to the grandbabies.
Yeah.
How do you? So both our dads went to jail, and then our moms were just had to work. Had to work. And so, how do you take care of yourself as a mom and someone who holds space for so many others in your career? Like, you know, because you have your energy for Preston, but then you have to have energy for these kids. So, like, how do you take care of yourself in order for you to do that?
Well, as a parent, I think I can say this for a lot of people. That's, like, on your list of things to take care of. As a mom, I'm, like, 20th on my list. Like, and that's not a good thing. Like, when I had Thor, like, he was on the list to take care of higher than my own self. Like, you know, like, of course it's hard and you can't do it all the time, every day. Like, I do sometimes I do put more of my effort into my work than my own family. And some days it's the opposite. Like, then that's the reality of a working parent, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even, I shouldn't even say I'm working, but like, I'm not paid, but like, you know, like, it's to graduate, so it's like, you have to work for it, but, it's a sense of like controlling what you can control at that very moment. So a lot of the times it's like from 8 to 4, my kid is in daycare and I know she's taken care of by her teachers because I trust them. I'm going to focus majority of my energy today then on my work kids because they need something always pops up. It's never a dull day. It's never the same day twice. So
which sounds fun. Well, and from what and this is like I'm learning a lot. It sounds like being present is key.
Yeah.
You can't be here and then mentally somewhere else. You have to be where what's right in front of you.
Yeah. And that's why like social work is such a high burnout career. Like I'm going into this and like I remember talking to my other co-student that's there with me. It's like we both agreed. Her name's Christina. She's really cool. We both have said like we're going into this field knowing we're going to burn out at some point or another. It's just a matter of like how long can we make it without burning out?
Yeah.
So
well, and that's crazy, like the price you pay for these careers that we spend so much money, time, and energy to do, knowing that it comes with those negative effects as Indigenous people, because even in the law space, you know, they talk about addictions a lot and, you know, drinking and everything. And then here I am coming from from parents that were addicts, like my dad struggled with alcohol. It's okay. And like, you know, and knowing that those intergenerational effects like have impact on me. And it's same thing. It's like I'm going into a profession where I know addictions play a role in it and it's so normal. And it's like, oh my God, when do I go to rehab? You know what I mean? Because it's so normal. It's like, and we're more vulnerable than anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's just scary that we spend all this time and energy to do these professions, but there's all this like healing and work we have to do in order to be the best. Yeah. And that goes for everyone too, but I think for us it just like we need that, otherwise it will be detrimental.
Yeah, and it's like it's tough. Like it's so hard to know that these things are against us already before we even start. And so it's just a matter of like, that's where it goes back to like controlling what you can control in that moment. Because if you focus on like tomorrow or even 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to overwhelm you so bad. And that's what's going to give you anxiety. That's what's going to make you say, fuck this, I don't want to do this. And like lose your real focus on things, your why. And so that's kind of where I try to balance it. And I still am learning it a lot, but it is just controlling what I can control in that moment. And sometimes, that is like focusing more on work than my own family. Yeah. And like, that's something that like us as a family have come to terms with. Like I cannot be in 10 places at once as much as I want to be. So when I get home from work, it's like supper, bath, bed, and then maybe like 20 minutes to do some laundry and then get myself to bed. And or like pick and choose between like, do I shower or do I go to bed early? You know, like things like that. So
oh my God, you're a superhero. Honestly, I just can't believe like, well, it's you're not given the most like Native women are so strong. I love how you freaking like, because George like goes to work, right, 7 days in Fort Mac, right?
He's gone like, if you like, he's gone 50% of the time. He's only home 6 months of the year.
Yeah, and you just handle it. You fucking hold it down, and like freaking only Native women can do that for real, and just make it look easy. Because you do make it look easy, and I know it's not. Because I feel like we're on the same spectrum of mental health, and I can't even can't even walk my dog some days. I can't imagine taking care of a baby.
You just get used to it. Like when you
adapt.
When you really do it and you have a routine and structure with your child, it's like, it's pretty solid. Like that's pretty, like kids need structure and they need good discipline, you know, like, and understanding that they have a schedule too, and life is 10 times harder when you have a tired kid. So like, and I guess that routine could be like a saving grace too, to just keep everything on track.
So, there's good things and positive things that come with that extra responsibility. So we're kind of at the end here, but I wanted to ask one more question. What does self-care look like to you?
When I do practice it?
Yeah, when you do practice it.
I do a little bit of everything. I can't say that I have one set thing. Some form of movement, always. I try to, so I learned this from my good friend, Alicia Monroe. She did a presentation at FNU, and she did this thing, like, doing checks with yourself and, like, a spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental self, I think I said. But anyway, the 4
domains
of what makes you a person. And so she's like, rate each area out of 10. 10 being like the best, 0 or 1 being the worst.
Yeah.
And so I try to do that as often as I can. And honestly, it's almost always spiritual on the lower end of things. But like, say if I'm like going, my physical health is at a 10 and my mental health is at like a 2, where it's like, okay, I'm getting a lot of movement in, but what am I doing for my mental health?
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably go see my counselor.
Yeah.
Like, little things like that. Or like my emotional health, like I'll journal. Or even just like all I can do really is like smudge.
Yeah.
Like for my spiritual health and like just to cleanse my own brain.
Yeah.
After a tough day, or like even before I start the day and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just like kind of like trying to focus on those 4 things.
Yeah. This was such a good conversation, but before we go, what's the one thing you want people to take away from your story? Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Make good choices. Be kind.
Be kind.
Have empathy.
And
just remember that it takes one life event
to change an entire trajectory of a person's life.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree because it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and it is like I've heard, and it kind of stuck with me, is like addictions is most of the time like the disease of broken hearts.
Yeah,
it is. Like,
no, that's perfect, because I always think like when my sister died through suicide, it changed the entire like way of the way our family went, and so many issues came with that.
Yeah.
And you can't think like this, but I would often like, what would happen if she didn't do that? But you can't think like that.
Yeah, and just set up your own personal boundary. If someone's freaking mean to you or gives you a bad taste in your mouth, bye. Yeah, don't need you.
Oh, for sure. I love cutting people off. It's so fun. Just kidding. No, it's just I find it so easy. But mind you, it's like,
as you get older, your frontal lobe develops. You realize like, this sucked. I'm too grown up for this.
Yeah, like, for sure. So what's your advice for young Indigenous moms or Indigenous women thinking about going into social work? Be careful.
Yeah.
Healing.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to Google about sex or like educating yourself on sex for young Indigenous women, and that you're more resilient than you think. And social work is really hard. It makes you really self-reflect, and it is really triggering. So make sure you have people in your circle that you can talk to about that. If you choose to go in this field, mothers, days will get really long. They're really tiring.
Yeah.
And just remember that you can do anything.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we can end up on that. I'm real good ending. After it all.
I'm running out of inspirational words, man.
You can do anything.
You can do anything. Come on. I don't got to tell you that.
What are those other cliches if you put your heart into it? Okay, so Carlie, I'm so grateful that you did this. This was fun, hey? This is like the first of many.
Yeah.
We can definitely have more conversations, but I just think it's so amazing that someone who can work with children, you're an Indigenous mom, like, knowing you're like someone you actually are someone I've always looked up to. You went to school, I'm like, Carlie's going to school, I gotta go to school. You got your second degree, I gotta get my second degree. And now I think I'm going to be annoying and push you to get your master's.
Oh, man.
Not right now, but soon.
Maybe when I can make some money. I'm so sick of being broke.
I know.
All the time.
I'm broke all the time too. I think I have $20 in my account.
I'm like negatives. For real.
Well,
I'm waiting for my man's payday.
Nice. I know our men just like take care of us. They're like
I hate it. I hate
it too, but it's also like just do it for these couple years, and then when I start practicing, you can take a break, whatever, a year, and I'll take care of us. Just hold on. Yeah, but for the most part, I'm the only one.
Cows and plows.
Yeah, cows and plows. Dirty water money is coming.
Man, I got that, and I have like.
And I'm still broke.
I have nothing to show for it.
Fuck's sake!
I went to
drank shit water to have nothing to show for it. Just the bath trip.
Not even. I went on the gondola.
The gondola. Did you get the discount showing your status card?
No.
Jeez.
No, it was just packed and hot.